The red light on Captain Jin Woo's control panel blinked like an angry eye, a distress signal. He had been flying through space for 6 months without seeing anything this interesting. "Captain," said his communications officer, "Na Jin." She was young and always spoke too fast when excited. "The signal is coming from Research Station Delta 7. It's been abandoned for 3 months. Jin Woo knew about Delta 7. It was a big space station where scientists from different alien races worked together. They studied strange animals and plants from across the galaxy. Then one day, everyone just left. No one would say why. "Set course for the station," Jin Woo ordered. His ship, the Harmony's Edge, was not very big, but it was fast and strong. Dr. Hai Min looked up from her computer screen. She was the smartest person on the ship when it came to alien life. "Captain, are you sure this is wise? There must be a reason everyone left so quickly." "That's exactly why we need to check," Jin Woo said. "Maybe someone is still alive and needs help." The space station looked broken when they got close. Half of it was dark, and Jin Woo could see holes in the metal walls, but the other half still had lights on. "Life support is still working in Section C and D," reported Tae Jun, their engineer. He was always calm, even when things looked bad. "We can dock safely." Jin Woo picked a small team to go with him. Hai Min came because she knew about alien creatures. Su Yan came because she was a nurse and could help if someone was hurt. Du Haiyan came because he was good with security and computers. The station felt empty and cold when they walked inside. Their footsteps echoed in the metal hallways. Emergency lights flashed red and yellow. Papers and broken equipment were scattered everywhere, like people had left in a big hurry. "The distress signal is coming from Section D," Du Haiyan said, looking at his scanner. "Down this hallway." They walked carefully through the station. Jin Woo had his hand on his weapon, just in case. The walls had pictures and words in many different alien languages. This place had been home to scientists from all over the galaxy. "Look at this," Su Yan said softly. She pointed to claw marks on the wall. They were deep and long. "Something big made these." Hai Min knelt down and touched the marks. "These are fresh. Maybe 2 or 3 months old." They kept walking until they reached a large room. The sign on the door said, "Xenobiology Lab, Level 5 clearance only in 6 different languages." The door was broken open. Inside, the room was a mess. Tables were turned over. Glass containers were smashed on the floor. But in the center of the room, something strange waited for them. It looked like a nursery for babies, but not human babies. There were dozens of large, round objects sitting in warm, glowing containers. The objects were black as space and smooth as glass. They were eggs, but bigger than any eggs Jin Woo had ever seen. "My God," whispered Hai Min. She walked closer, her eyes wide with amazement. "These are incredible." A computer near the eggs was still working. Du Haiyan sat down and started reading the files. His face grew pale as he read. "Captain," he said in a quiet voice, "you need to see this." Jin Woo looked at the computer screen. There were pictures of huge, dark creatures with 4 arms and armor-like skin. They had long claws and sharp teeth. They looked like the monsters from children's scary stories. "These eggs belong to the Vorthak," Du Haiyan said. The name made everyone in the room go quiet. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Vorthak. They were the most dangerous predators anyone had ever seen. They could tear apart spaceships with their bare hands. They had destroyed entire worlds before disappearing 5 years ago. Every parent in the galaxy told their children scary stories about the Vorthak. "The scientists found these eggs 3 months ago," Du Haiyan continued reading. "They were going to study them. But when the other alien races found out what they were, they ordered the station to be destroyed." "What happened then?" asked Jin Woo. "The scientists refused to kill the eggs. They said the babies inside had done nothing wrong. So the other races just ... They took their people and abandoned the station. They left the eggs to die." Su Yan walked over to one of the eggs. She put her hand on the warm container. "They're still alive," she said. "I can feel movement inside." Hai Min checked the life support systems for the eggs. The automatic systems have been keeping them alive all this time. But the power is running low. They have maybe 2 weeks left. Jinwoo stared at the eggs. Inside each one was a baby Vorthek. Everyone in the galaxy said these creatures were pure evil. But they were still babies. They had never hurt anyone. "Sir," said Du Haiyan, "I'm getting messages from the Galactic Council. They're ordering us to destroy the eggs immediately. They say it's for the safety of all life in the galaxy. And if we refuse?" asked Jinwoo. "They'll send warships to make sure the job gets done." The room was quiet except for the humming of the egg containers. Jinwoo looked at his team. Su Yan was still touching one of the eggs with gentle hands. Hai Min was reading about Vorthek biology with fascination instead of fear. Taejun was already thinking about how to move the egg safely. Du Haiyan waited for orders, but Jinwoo could see he didn't like the idea of killing babies either. "Captain," said Hai Min, "these eggs will hatch soon, maybe in a few weeks. What if we're wrong about the Vorthek? What if they're not evil? What if they just need someone to care for them?" Jinwoo thought about all the times humans had been called dangerous by other species. He thought about how many times people had been wrong about who was good and who was bad. "Load the eggs onto our ship," he said finally. "All of them, sir?" Du Haiyan looked surprised. "You heard me. If everyone else in the galaxy wants to abandon these babies, then humanity will take care of them. We'll give them a chance to prove they're more than just their parents' reputation." As his team started, preparing to move the eggs, Jinwoo wondered if he was making the biggest mistake of his life. But looking at those eggs, he couldn't bring himself to let innocent babies die just because of fear. Humanity had always been different from other species in one important way. They never gave up on family. And sometimes family wasn't about blood or species. Sometimes it was about who needed you most. 3 weeks had passed since Captain Jinwoo made his decision. The human research station New Hope floated quietly in deep space, far from any major trade routes. Jinwoo had chosen this place because no one would bother them here. The station was small but comfortable. Taejun had worked day and night to modify it for their special guests. He built a large room with soft floors and warm lighting. The walls were painted with gentle colors that would not scare young creatures. The air smelled clean and fresh. Dr. Bio Ra arrived on a supply ship just in time. She was an expert in how children's minds worked, though she had never worked with alien children before. She was nervous but excited. "Captain," she said as she walked onto the station, "I've read everything we know about Vorthek behavior. Most of it is about adult warriors, not babies. We're going into unknown territory." "That's exactly why we need you," Jinwoo replied. "These little ones will need someone who understands young minds." The eggs had been moved to the special nursery room. They sat in new containers that Taejun had built, each one keeping the eggs at exactly the right temperature. Hai Min checked on them every few hours. She had become very protective of them. "The first egg is starting to crack," Hai Min announced one morning. Her voice was excited but also nervous. Everyone gathered in the nursery room. The largest egg had thin lines running across its black surface. As they watched, the lines grew bigger. Something was moving inside. "Should we help it?" asked Su Yan. She held medical supplies in her hands, ready for anything. "No," said Hai Min. "Most baby animals need to break out by themselves. It makes them stronger." For 2 hours, they watched the eggs slowly crack open. Finally, a small claw pushed through the shell, then another claw. The baby creature was working hard to get out. When the shell finally broke apart, everyone held their breath. The baby Vorthek was not what they expected. It was about the size of a human toddler, but it looked nothing like the monsters from the scary stories. Its skin was dark gray, almost black, and it had 4 small arms. Its eyes were large and bright silver. When it looked at them, it seemed curious, not angry. "Hello there, little one," Hai Min said softly. She knelt down near the baby creature. The baby tilted its head and made a soft chirping sound. Then it took a wobbly step toward Hai Min. Its legs were still weak from being in the egg for so long. "It's trying to walk to you," whispered Biora. In amazement, it's choosing you as its caregiver. Hai Min slowly reached out her hand. The baby creature sniffed her fingers with a small nose, then gently touched her hand with one of its tiny claws. Its touch was warm and gentle. We should give them names, suggested Su Yian. This one looks like a shadow moving in moonlight. Shadow, agreed Hai Min, but that's not quite right for a name. She thought for a moment. What about Yun? It means cloud in Korean. Look at those silver marks on his head. The baby creature made a happy chirping sound when she said the name, as if he understood. Over the next few days, more eggs began to hatch. Each baby was different. Some had silver marks like Yun, others had tiny spots of white or gray on their dark skin. They all had the same bright silver eyes and gentle nature. Bo-Ra spent hours watching them. This is incredible, she told Jinwoo. They're forming emotional bonds faster than any human children I've studied, and they seem to understand emotions better than most adult humans. The second baby to hatch bonded with Su Yian. She named him Dal, which meant moon. Dal was smaller than Yun, but twice as curious. He followed Su Yian everywhere and copied everything she did. The third baby chose Tae-jun. The engineer was surprised when the little creature started watching him work and even tried to help by handing him tools. This one is very smart, Tae. Jun said, I'll call him Bitna. It means to shine. Soon they had 12 baby Vorthak running around the station. Each one had chosen a human to bond with, and each one had a Korean name. They learned to walk within days. They started making different sounds to communicate with their human families. They're not just smart, Bill-ra explained to the crew during a meeting. They're emotionally intelligent. They can sense our feelings. When Su Yian was sad yesterday, Dal brought her his favorite toy. When I was frustrated with my research, Sarang sat next to me until I felt better. The babies grew fast, but not just in size. They started understanding human words after only 1 week. By the second week, they were trying to repeat simple words. By the third week, some of them were having basic conversations. Jinwoo good, said Yun one day, patting the captain's arm with his small hand. Yun like Jinwoo? I like you too, Yun, Jinwoo replied, his heart melting. The baby Vorthak were nothing like the stories. They were playful and loving. They liked to cuddle with their human families. They shared their food and toys with each other. When one baby was hurt or scared, the others would comfort it. Look at this, Hai Min called everyone to watch. Yun was teaching a smaller baby named Nabi how to stack blocks. When Nabi got frustrated and knocked them down, Yun gently picked up the blocks and started over, making encouraging chirping sounds. They're naturally kind, observed Bill-ra. This goes against everything the galaxy believes about their species. But not everyone was happy about their project. Du Hyeon brought bad news from his communication station. Captain, he said privately to Jin. Woo. I'm picking up signals from Galactic Council ships. They're looking for us. The other species are very angry that we saved the eggs. Jinwoo watched Yun playing with a ball, laughing in his chirping way when it bounced in funny directions. How could anyone want to hurt such innocent creatures? How long do we have? Jinwoo asked. Maybe a week, maybe 2. They're searching sector by sector. That night, Jinwoo couldn't sleep. He walked to the nursery where the babies were sleeping. They had built little nests out of soft blankets. Yun opened his silver eyes when he heard Jinwoo's footsteps. Jinwoo sad? Yun whispered, his voice still high and small. A little worried, Jinwoo admitted, sitting down next to the young creature. Yun climbed into Jinwoo's lap and curled up like a cat. Yun protect Jinwoo, he said sleepily. Family protect family. Jinwoo felt tears in his eyes. These babies had already learned what it meant to be family. They had chosen humans as their family, and humans had chosen them back. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. 6 months had passed since the first egg hatched. The research station New Hope was no longer quiet. It was filled with laughter, voices, and the sound of young creatures learning about the world. The baby Vorthak were not babies anymore. They had grown quickly, now standing as tall as human teenagers. but they still had the same gentle hearts and bright silver eyes. Their dark skin had developed beautiful patterns. Some had silver streaks, others had small white spots like stars. Yun had become the leader of his brothers and sisters. He was the biggest and strongest, but more importantly, he was the kindest. When the younger ones had problems, they came to Yun first. He would listen carefully and help them find solutions. Yun is like a big brother to all of them, Bio-Ra told Jinwoo as they watched the young Vorthak in the common room. He has natural leadership skills, but he leads with love, not fear. Hai Min was teaching a group of them about human history. They sat in a circle, listening with complete attention. Their ability to learn was amazing. They could remember everything they heard and understood complex ideas that would be hard for human children. "Tell us about Earth," said Nabi, the smallest. 1. She had bonded with Bio-Ra and loved hearing stories. "Is it really blue and green?" "Yes," Hai Min smiled. "Earth has blue oceans and green forests. Someday, maybe you can visit." "We want to see Earth," said Dal, Su-Yeon's adopted son. "We want to meet more humans," but not all the news was good. Du Haiyan had been working at his communication station all morning, and his face looked worried. "Captain," he called Jinwoo. "Over. You need to see this." The screen showed dozens of ships moving through space. They were big warships from different alien races. All of them were heading toward the sector where New Hope was hiding. "How did they find us?" asked Jinwoo. "I don't know. We've been very careful. But they're definitely looking for us." Na-Jin looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm getting a transmission." "It's coming from the lead ship. Put it on screen." The image showed a tall, thin alien with blue skin and 4 eyes. He wore the uniform of a Galactic Council ambassador. His name was Veltar, and Jinwoo had met him before. He was not a friendly being. "Captain Jinwoo," Veltar's voice was cold and angry. "You have committed a serious crime against galactic security. You are harboring dangerous predators that should have been destroyed months ago." "These are not dangerous predators," Jinwoo replied calmly. "They are young beings who have never hurt anyone. They are Vorthak." Veltar's 4 eyes blazed with anger. "Their very existence threatens every peaceful species in the galaxy. You will surrender them immediately, or we will take them by force." Behind Jinwoo, some of the young Vorthak had come to see what was happening. Yun stepped forward, his silver eyes serious. "Why do they hate us?" Yun asked quietly. "We have done nothing wrong." Jinwoo felt his heart break a little. These young ones didn't understand why the galaxy feared them so much. "Some people are afraid of things they don't understand," Jinwoo explained. "But we are not afraid of you. You are our family." Veltar heard this and his face twisted with disgust. "Family? These monsters are not your family. They are weapons of destruction waiting to awaken." "You're wrong," said Hai Min, stepping next to Jinwoo. "I've studied them for 6 months. They are intelligent, emotional, and kind. They are nothing like the stories." "Stories?" Veltar laughed bitterly. "I have seen entire worlds burned by. They're kind. I have watched them tear apart peaceful beings with their bare hands. These creatures are evil by nature." Yun looked hurt by these words. He turned to Jinwoo with confused eyes. "Are we evil, Jinwoo? Are we bad?" "No," Jinwoo said firmly, putting his hand on Yun's shoulder. "You are good. You are kind. You are our children." Meanwhile, Tae-jin was making an interesting discovery. He was working on the station's computer system when Bitna, his adopted son, came to watch. "Can I help?" "Sure," Tae-jin said, not really paying attention. "Just don't touch anything important." But when Tae-jin looked up a few minutes later, his eyes went wide. Bitna had his hand pressed against the computer panel, and the screen was showing things that should have been impossible. "Bitna, what are you doing?" "Fixing the power problem in Section C," Bitna said casually. The connections were loose. Tae-jun checked his instruments. The power problem that had been bothering him for weeks was completely fixed. "How did you do that?" "I can feel the electricity," Bitna explained. It flows through me. I can talk. To machines, Tae-jin called the others over. Soon, they discovered that all the young Vorthak could interface with technology in amazing ways. They could fix broken systems, improve computer programs, and even pilot ships better than experienced humans. This changes everything, breathed Du-hyun. They're not just intelligent, they're naturally gifted with technology. But their celebration was cut short. Na-jin's voice came over the speakers. Captain, the alien fleet is getting closer. They'll be here in 2 hours. Jin-woo gathered his crew in the meeting room. The young Vorthak sat quietly in the corner, understanding that something serious was happening. Everyone knows the situation, Jin-woo said. The Galactic Council wants us to hand over our children for execution. They think these young ones are too dangerous to live. What are our options? Asked Hyman. We can surrender and watch them die, Jin-woo said. Or we can refuse and probably face a military attack. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then Su-yeon spoke up. These children saved my life when I was sick last month. Dal stayed by my bed for 3 days, bringing me water and food. How can anyone think he's dangerous? Nabi helps me with my research every day, added Bo-ra. She's more caring than most humans I know. Bitna fixed our life support system yesterday, said Tae-jun. Without him, we might all be dead. One by one, each crew member spoke about how the young Vorthak had touched their lives. They were not pets or experiments. They were family. I call for a vote, Jin-woo said finally. All in favor of protecting our children, no matter what the cost? Every hand in the room went up. Even Du-hyun, who was usually very careful about following rules, voted yes. We stand together, Jin-woo declared. No one is taking our family away. Yun stood up, his silver eyes bright with emotion. We will stand with you too. Family protects family. The young Vorthak nodded in agreement. They might not fully understand the danger, but they understood loyalty and love. Outside, the alien fleet grew closer. Soon, there would be a confrontation. That would change everything. But inside New Hope, humans and young Vorthak stood together, ready to face whatever came next. They were no longer two different species. They were one family, and families never abandon each other. The alien fleet surrounded New Hope like hungry wolves around a small fire. 12 different species had sent their biggest warships. Each ship was 10 times larger than the human research station. Ambassador Veltar's face filled the main screen. Again, this time he was not alone. Representatives from all 12 species stood behind him, their faces cold and angry. Captain Jin-woo, Veltar spoke with the voice of someone who was used to being obeyed. We will give you one last chance. Hand over the Vorthak offspring, and we will let your crew live. No, Jin-woo said simply. These are our children. We will not give them to you. A tall, green-skinned alien stepped forward. Then you leave. You has no choice. We will board your station and take them by force. Wait, called Dr. Hyman. If you believe these young ones are dangerous, then test them. Prove that they are the monsters you claim they are. The aliens looked at each other with surprise. They had not expected this suggestion. You want us to test them? Asked Veltar. Yes, Hyman continued. Give them challenges. See how they react. If they truly are evil creatures, it should be easy to prove. Jin-woo understood what Hyman was doing. She was buying them time and giving the young Vorthak a chance to show their true nature. Very well, Veltar agreed. But when they fail, your tests and show their true nature, you will hand them over without resistance. And if they pass? Asked Jin-woo. They won't, Veltar said coldly. The aliens came aboard New Hope with strange testing equipment. Dr. Bo-ra protested when she saw what they planned to do. These tests are cruel, she said. You cannot treat children this way. They are not children, replied a four-armed alien scientist. They are predators pretending to be innocent. The first test was simple. They put the young Vorthak in a room with small, harmless creatures from different worlds. The aliens wanted to see if the Vorthak would hunt and kill them. Yun and his siblings entered the room carefully. They saw the small creatures and immediately began to care for them. Nabi picked up a tiny, bird-like animal that was hurt and gently held it. Dal found food for a hungry, rabbit-like creature. Bidna fixed a broken toy that belonged to a small, cat-like being. "This proves nothing," Veltar said angrily. "They are just waiting for the right moment to attack." The second test was harder. The aliens separated the young Vorthak from their human families and put them in small, dark rooms. They wanted to see if isolation would make them angry and violent. For hours, the young ones sat alone in the darkness. The humans could hear them calling for their families, but the aliens would not let them answer. Bio-Ra was almost in tears watching the monitors. "This is torture," she said. "They are just children who want their parents." But the young Vorthak did not become violent. Instead, they began to sing. Yun started with a soft, beautiful melody that sounded like wind through trees. One by one, his siblings joined in from their separate rooms. Their song was sad but full of hope. "They are comforting each other," whispered Hai Min in amazement. "Even separated, they are taking care of one another." The aliens made the tests harder and crueler. They showed the young Vorthak images of violence and destruction. They played loud, scary sounds. They even brought in actors pretending to be hurt, to see if the sight of pain would awaken some killer instinct. Every test failed to prove what the aliens wanted. The young Vorthak showed fear, sadness, and confusion, but never violence. When they saw the fake injured people, they tried to help them. When they heard scary sounds, they held each other for comfort. "Enough!" Veltar shouted after the 10th. "Test failed. We will try one final test." The last test was the cruelest of all. The aliens brought Jinwu, Hai Min, and the other humans into a room with the young Vorthak. Then they pretended to threaten the humans with weapons. "Now we will see their true nature," Veltar said with evil satisfaction. "When their human pets are in danger, they will show us the monsters they really are." The alien actors pointed energy weapons at the humans and began to make threatening moves. The young Vorthak watched with growing alarm. "Stop!" Yun shouted, stepping in front of Jinwu. "Do not hurt our family." The aliens pressed their attack, moving closer to the humans with their weapons. The young Vorthak had a choice. They could attack the aliens with their natural strength and speed, or they could find another way. In that moment, Yun and his siblings showed why they were special. They moved faster than the eye could follow, but not to attack. Instead, they positioned themselves protectively around their human families. Bitna used his electrical abilities to disable the weapons without hurting anyone. Dal and the others created a living shield around the humans, but they did not strike back. They did not hurt anyone. They simply protected the people they loved. "And waited there," said Hai Min with tears in her eyes. "Do you see? They have the power to hurt you, but they choose not to. They choose protection over violence, love over hate." The alien representatives stood in shocked silence. They had seen the young Vorthak's incredible speed and strength, but also their incredible restraint. This is not possible," whispered Veltar. "Vorthak are killers. They are destroyers." "No," said Yun quietly. "We are protectors. Family protects family." The testing had ended, but the aliens were not satisfied. They gathered in the main meeting room of New Hope, arguing loudly among themselves. Some wanted to admit they were wrong. Others insisted the young Vorthak were just hiding their true nature, while the adults argued. Duhayan made a discovery that would change everything. He had been searching through old data files that the aliens brought with them. Hidden in their historical archives, he found records that were thousands of years old. The files were written in ancient Vorthak language, but the ship's computer could translate them. "Captain," Duhayan called urgently, "you need to see this. Everyone needs to see this." Jin Wu gathered the crew and the alien representatives. Even Yun and his siblings came to listen. Duhayan put the ancient files on the main screen. "These are Vorthak historical records," he began. "They tell a very different story than what we've been told." The first image showed the galaxy as it was thousands of years ago. It was darker, more dangerous. Between the stars lurked something. terrible creatures of pure darkness that consumed everything they touched. The Void Swarm, Du Haiyan read from the ancient text. Beings from another dimension who devour both matter and energy. They came to our galaxy like a plague, destroying entire star systems. The next images showed the early Vorthak. They were not the mindless monsters of the stories. They were scientists, explorers, and protectors. They had discovered the Void Swarm first and took it upon themselves to fight this cosmic threat. The Vorthak were the galaxy's guardians, Du Haiyan continued. For 3,000 years they fought the Void Swarm in secret, preventing them from reaching populated worlds. They sacrificed everything to protect species that never even knew they existed. Ambassador Veltar's face had gone pale. This cannot be true. It is true, said Li Wu, Najin's assistant, who had been helping with the translation. Look at this entry. It's from 5 years ago, just before the adult Vorthak disappeared. The final records were heartbreaking. The adult Vorthak had discovered that the Void Swarm was preparing for a final assault on the galaxy. They could not win this last battle, but they could delay it. They could give the galaxy time to prepare. The adult Vorthak sacrificed themselves. Li Wu read with a shaking voice. They sealed themselves and the main Void Swarm force in a dimensional prison, but they knew it would not hold forever. They left their eggs in places where they hoped someone would find them and care for them. Men understood first. They wanted their children to be raised by other species. They wanted them to learn love and compassion, not just strength and fighting. The Vorthak chose humans, Yun said quietly. His silver eyes were bright with unshed tears. They knew humans would not abandon us. The ancient records revealed the truth about the Vorthak's reputation. They had been forced to make hard choices in their fight against the Void Swarm. Sometimes they had to destroy infected worlds to prevent the spread of darkness. Sometimes they had to fight other species who were being controlled by the swarm. The galaxy feared them because they did the terrible things that needed to be done, Hai Min realized. They let everyone think they were monsters so that no one would try to stop them from protecting the galaxy. Ambassador Veltar sat down heavily. His 4 eyes stared at the evidence in disbelief. We were wrong, he whispered. For 5 years, we celebrated the disappearance of our protectors. We abandoned their children when we should have honored them. But there was more. The final files contained a warning. The dimensional prison was weakening. The Void Swarm would return, and when they did, the galaxy would need its guardians again. The prison will fail in less than 1 year, Du Haiyan translated. The young Vorthak must be ready to take their parents' place, but they cannot do it alone. They will need allies who understand both strength and compassion. Everyone in the room looked at Yun and his siblings. These young beings, who had been raised with human love and values, were the galaxy's only hope against the returning darkness. We understand now, said Yun, speaking for all his siblings. Our parents left us with humans because humans know how to fight for others, not just for themselves. They knew you would teach us to be more than just warriors. The alien representatives began to leave, their heads hanging in shame. They had come to destroy the galaxy's protectors. Instead, they had learned that they owed these young beings their lives. But Veltar stayed behind. He knelt before Yun with tears in his 4 eyes. Forgive us, he said. We nearly destroyed the galaxy's greatest hope because of our fear and ignorance. Yun gently helped the old ambassador to his feet. There is nothing to forgive. You were afraid. Fear makes people do things they regret. But now we know the truth and we can face the future together. The warning came exactly 11 months later. Space stations across the galaxy reported the same terrible sight. Stars were going dark. Not exploding or burning out, but simply disappearing as if they had never existed. The Void Swarm had returned. Admiral Jin Wu stood on the bridge of the Harmony's Light, the flagship of the combined human Vorthak fleet. In the year since the truth had been revealed, everything had changed. The Galactic Council had begged for forgiveness and offered every resource to prepare for the coming battle. But the most important changes had happened to Yun and his siblings. They were now fully grown, standing 7 feet tall with natural armor that gleamed like black metal. Their forearms were powerful enough to tear apart steel, and their silver eyes could see across vast distances. But they still had the gentle hearts their human families had nurtured. "Admiral," called Captain Na-Jin from her station. "Long-range sensors show the swarm approaching the Kepler system. We have 6 hours before they reach the outer colonies." Jinwoo looked at the tactical display. The void swarm was massive. Thousands of dark shapes moving between the stars, devouring everything in their path. The combined fleets of 12 species seemed tiny in comparison. "Yun," Jinwoo called to his adopted son, who was working at a control station designed for Vorthic physiology. "Are your people ready?" "We are ready, father," Yun replied. The word father still made Jinwoo's heart warm. "But this battle cannot be won with strength alone. We need the plan that Hai-Min and Bitna created." Dr. Hai-Min, now the chief science officer of the fleet, had spent months studying the ancient Vorthak records. Working with Bitna and the other young Vorthak, she had discovered something their parents had missed. The void swarm was not just consuming matter and energy, they were consuming the connections between things. They fed on relationships, bonds, and love itself. "The swarm is stronger when we fight as separate species," Hai-Min explained over the fleet communications. "But they are weaker when we fight as one family. The bond between humans and Vorthak creates something they cannot consume." The battle began as the void swarm reached the first colony world. The creatures were horrible to look at, shapeless masses of darkness with too many eyes and mouths that hungered for existence itself. They moved through space without ships, their very presence making reality crack and tear. "All fleets engage," Jinwoo ordered. The battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Traditional weapons barely scratched the void creatures. Energy beams passed through them. Missiles exploded harmlessly against their dark forms. But when human and Vorthak crews worked together, something amazing happened. Ships piloted by mixed crews began to hurt the swarm. Weapons powered by both human innovation and Vorthak bioenergy tore through the dark creatures like light through shadow. "It's working!" shouted Tae-jun from the engineering deck. "The combined technology is effective." Yun and his siblings had taken control of specially designed fighters that merged human engineering with Vorthak biology. They moved through the battle like dancers, protecting the larger ships and striking at the heart of the swarm, but the enemy was learning and adapting. The largest void creature, something the size of a moon, began to move toward Earth itself. "It's trying to consume our home world," realized Beil-Ra, who was monitoring the creature's path. "If it reaches Earth, it will devour the emotional connections that make our alliance possible." "Not if we stop it first," Yun said with determination. The final assault required everything they had learned about working together. Human pilots flew Vorthak bioships. Vorthak warriors operated human energy. Weapons. Scientists from both species worked side by side to coordinate the attack. As they approached the massive void creature, Jinwoo realized something important. His own connection to Yun was powering his ship's weapons. The love between adoptive father and son was literally burning away the darkness. "All ships, focus on your bonds," Jinwoo called out. "Remember why you fight, remember who you love." Across the fleet, humans and Vorthak began to share their memories and feelings. Su-Yun thought of Dal's first steps. Tae-jun remembered teaching Bitna to build his first machine. Beil-Ra smiled as she recalled Nabi's first attempt at human poetry. The combined power of their love and loyalty created a wave of energy that the void swarm could not resist. The dark creatures began to dissolve, their hunger replaced by something they had never experienced, the joy of connection and family. The largest creature made one final attempt to reach Earth, but Yun and his siblings formed a living barrier around it. Their combined bioenergy, powered by years of human love and care, created a new type of dimensional prison. "We offer you a choice," Yun said to the creature with compassion even his parents might not have shown. "Continue to hunger and destroy, or learn what it means to belong to something greater than yourself." The void creature paused, its many eyes focusing on Yun. For the first time in eons, it felt something other than hunger. It felt the possibility of connection. One by one, the void swarm began to change. They did not disappear, but transformed into something new, beings of light instead of darkness, fed by love instead of destruction. The war was over, but more importantly, the galaxy had learned something precious. Strength alone could not protect them. It was the bonds between different species, the love that crossed the barriers of biology and culture that made them truly invincible. Years later, Dr. Hymin, now elderly and surrounded by grandchildren both human and Vorthek, watched new eggs being placed in human nurseries across the galaxy. But this time it was by choice, not abandonment. The Vorthek parents understood something we didn't, she told young Captain Nabi, who had grown up to command her own ship. They knew that the greatest strength comes not from what we are born as, but from who chooses to love us and whom we choose to love in return. On Earth, in a garden where human children played with young Vorthek, Jinwu sat with Yun, both of them now old but still family. "Do you think we made the right choice all those years ago?" Jinwu asked. Yun looked at the children playing together, their laughter echoing across the peaceful world. "We chose love over fear," Yun replied. "We chose family over species. We chose to believe that anyone can change if someone is willing to help them grow. I think our choice saved more than just the galaxy. It saved the idea that hope is always stronger than darkness." The galaxy was safe, not because monsters had been destroyed, but because they had been loved into becoming something better. And in the end, that made all the difference.